Okay. So, I don't know if anyone can kind of show their hands, but how many people were at Coffee and Cases our previous sessions? This guy. Okay, there's some hands. There's some hands. Okay. So what I'll kind of introduce what Coffee and Cases are first. So 2 years ago, I guess we started. We were traveling around the province, talking to some of our stroke centers about stroke and TNK. That was when we were rolling out new IV thrombolytic and kind of meeting with some therapies and meeting with healthcare providers. And one of the resounding things we heard was there's not enough education, there's not enough, like we want more specialized stroke knowledge so we can provide patients in our own hospitals the kind of care that we want to give, something that is best practice, evidence-based, like how can we make things better? So we, along with Sarah Donkers and Jing Shi from Saskatoon City Hospital Rehab Department, kind of came together and thought, well, why don't we try this virtual platform called Coffee and Cases? And it went really, really well. Like 344 people initially registered, and we always had like about 90 people who watched, and another, 80 or 90 who watched the recorded video, which we will also send out this recorded video afterwards. So we're super pumped.
Very pumped.
And we want to introduce also Ashley Trites. Ashley.
Can you wave, Ashley? There we go.
So Ashley is a stroke prevention clinic nurse, and she has been instrumental in helping us with logistics and invitations, and she's going to be doing like kind of monitoring the chat and sending out some live polls and links and things throughout our presentation.
She's very cyber savvy. She's about 10 years younger than we are, making her very cyber savvy.
So savvy.
She doesn't remember the fall of the Berlin Wall. She wasn't born yet, right? But that's okay. She's a wizard with this stuff, and it saves us a lot of work. We have because we don't know how to operate a lot of these platforms. So this is great. We appreciate you, Ashley.
Neither do I.
No, she does great. So thanks, Ashley. She's also the one, I know some of you got coffee cards. We did have to shut down the coffee card giveaway about 24 or 48 hours ago. But for those of you that got your cards, that was all Ashley's doing. And we just want to thank the Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation for supporting this initiative as well. So we have grant money to kind of do this good work. So before we go any further, I just want to do a land acknowledgement. So today, while we are meeting on a virtual platform, I'd like to acknowledge the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are on today and take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands we each call home. As we gather here today, we pay our respects to First Nations communities and Métis ancestors, and reaffirm our relationship with one another. So today, the theme of our first Coffee and Cases is I wish I knew then what I know now. And pretty excited to have two patients, one that spent time, and you know what, I don't even know, Terry and Heather, if you like to be called patients, but two people who have lived experience with stroke and are here to share a little bit of their stories. So do you want to introduce?
Well, we can definitely start, and this is a great way to start off this round of Coffee and Cases. I remember when I finished fellowship, most of my fellowship in Calgary was kind of in the hospital, acute strokes, maybe a little bit in the stroke prevention clinic. But then when I came back to Saskatoon 8 years ago, I'm meeting people. I get people referred to me who had a stroke maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and what they wanted to talk about was maybe their secondary stroke prevention, but the ongoing maybe issues and problems they might be having in regards to fatigue, mobility, all these things. So my world was opened up. I felt inadequate to help these people because a lot of that training I did not get at the time. So since then, very much I learned so much from, and I'm sure all the clinicians here, from people we have experience with, who have lived experience, who can kind of shed light on what's important to them and other people like them in regards to continuing to recover from stroke. So we have two people here today. We got Terry Uzek, and also Heather Quayle Goranson. So Terry, we have large bios from both of you. I'm going to try to condense them just a little bit, but I tend to ramble, so please be with me. So back in 2018, Terry had some mild fatigue and lack of energy and went to his family doc and asked to get a blood test that day. On the way back from his vision on call, told him he had high levels of troponin, which is a heart enzyme, and told him to call 911 because he was taken to the hospital because they thought he was having a heart attack. He went to RUH overnight, and then he had some stents placed in his heart. Within 45 minutes of those stents, he was feeling a lot better. He attended Live Well classes at the Saskatoon Fieldhouse. He changed his diet, his lifestyle, started exercising 3 times a week with the CARD program. However, about just over a year later, or in the next year in September 2019, at 7 o'clock in the morning, he suffered an ischemic stroke, and he was taken to RUH within 70 minutes. He was given thrombolysis with TPA at the time, and he spent 6 weeks in hospital, 5 of those at rehab at that time. Then a year of outpatient rehabilitation at that point too. 6.5 years later, he walks unassisted and attends the Saskatoon Fieldhouse 5 days a week, and has pretty much resumed normal retirement. I know he's a big fan of old cars as well too, and putting them together. So yeah, working on restoration and maintenance of a couple of vintage British sports cars. He does volunteer work with us on the ward SHA and with the CARD program as well. Patient family advisory as well. And overall, he's very busy working on sports cars, enrolled in beginner Tai Chi classes, and planning a few warm trips at exotic locations. And if I can share this, Terry, I remember, I think I was on the ward sometime where you were on, and for you too, because of the heart attack, you were on all the right medications, it seemed like, when you came in for that stroke. So we had to kind of really dig hard to see if we can find some other things to continue to decrease your risk of stroke. And you told me, which is good, you had goal-directed therapy working on those vintage cars. You said you'd use your hand that was affected to screw the bolts over and over. That really helped too, which really helped with your recovery, which was awesome to hear from you. So thank you for being here. We also, do you want to do?
Yeah, sure, Heather. I just had we both, I guess, had the privilege of meeting last year at one of the big stroke days we hosted here in the city. But Heather, no big deal, is a professional engineer and geoscientist who began her career over 40 years ago in the oil and gas industry, holding various challenging technical and leadership positions with a senior oil and gas company. She used this diverse expertise to create and lead a consulting firm. You might have to just correct my pronunciation, but Vale, is the K silent? I think you're trying to unmute. But it's Vale Consulting Limited.
Cavalli, yes, Cavalli.
Cavalli. Okay. Recently rebranded from Mera Development Corp to guide corporations as they change their business processes to optimize operational and financial platforms. Cavalli has a global client base which began in oil and gas and subsequently moved into mining, power generation, water management, and agriculture. During the pandemic, they used their considerable data management and analytic experience and developed and hosted environmental serving agriculture and government fleets. She is the honorary consul of Norway for Saskatchewan and has supported various charities and service organizations. And Heather, you experienced a hemorrhagic stroke, so a little bit different etiology and story than Terry, and you were cared for mainly in Regina. So we have a couple of really good perspectives that we're going to look at. Questions, Lana?
Sure. Should we get started?
It's enough introduction.
Did people bring coffee?
Is there any coffee in the house?
Did you bring my coffee?
No, I didn't bring you a coffee. Yes, I see a Starbucks. I see some coffee. And I see Ashley has put some live polls in the side. If you guys have a chance to fill those out, that would be great. But otherwise, enough of us talking.
Yep.
Let's hear from...
So if I knew then what I know now is the term. So question number 1, goes to Terry. We'll go back and forth, Terry, Heather. But question number one, during your stroke, sir, what did you wish healthcare providers had known about what were you feeling or needing at that moment?
Well, thanks for asking. Um, I think one of the most terrifying things that happened to me was when I had a stroke. I laid in bed, and at my age, I had known people who were older than me, my old aunts and uncles, and whenever they had a stroke, what eventually happened was they ended up in a home because there wasn't the care that there is today. Um, this is where I thought I was going. I thought that my life was over as I knew it, and that I was going to be ending up in a home. And at no time did anybody ever say to me, people like you have relatively good success if you work at it to get part of your life back or get some of your life back. And how hard you work at it is going to help. The healthcare providers did a wonderful job of looking after me, my personal needs, um, caring for me, making me feel cared for, looking after my physical needs. But it wasn't until I started going into therapy that I realized that there was going to be something further than what had happened to me. That was very terrifying because I thought that my life with my wife was going to be over, that I was going to be left in a home by myself. And so would be the end of everything that I had done and anything I had planned to that date. So I guess maybe it's that sense of hopelessness or helplessness that I felt that nobody came and talked to me. Nobody came and gave me that hope. Um, you people, you doctors and nurses and therapists are all wonderful, um, but you don't know what it's like to be in our position, and it is a very terrifying place to be. So I guess that's something I'd really like to stress is that reach out and show empathy and talk to the person and ask them what they're feeling and ask them if they can be helped.
Thank you for that.
Heather, do you want to answer that one too?
I sure can.
Okay.
Um, I'll be honest about the time when I was in the hospital. I had as a hemorrhagic stroke. My husband had a stroke quite a bit earlier than me, so I knew what the signs of a stroke were. So I yelled to my husband that I was having a stroke, and he came and got me, and I went to the hospital. And other than dying a couple times on the way in, things went well. And I joke about that, but you kind of have to be lighthearted about some of these things. Um, Really, when my time in the hospital, I think I was there about 2.5 weeks, and then before I went to Wascana, and everyone did a good job in there, and I was sort of went from, hey, I'm going to live and things are going to go well, and started figuring things out. But during that really intense time, I was really not paying much attention. And for me, my whole thing came afterwards when I started moving into recovery. And so I had the nurses and the doctors and where everyone was really great when I was in 5A and helped me get through that. But I was sort of sitting there not really knowing what was going on, and things were happening to me because I'm sitting in a wheelchair now. I can't move my right side at all. I can kind of move my right foot a little bit, and it was scary. It was very scary, but it was sort of surreal is the best way I can put that time. So for me, the whole thing really comes about when I left 5A and started I think my stroke recovery comes after that, because the people who kept me healthy, and I guess healthy, um, but who got me to the point where I was going to live. And the people who worked on that, they did the best of their abilities and they did a great job. But then you're on the train where it really starts, and that's when you're getting into the recovery process.
Okay, so that kind of leads into the next question. What part of recovery surprised you the most, and what do you wish might have gone differently or have been done differently? Do you want to keep going, Heather, and then maybe we'll
Yeah,
circle back
sure.
to Terry? Okay.
What Well, surprising that you have to learn everything. Like literally, you have to learn. Especially, I'm a right-handed person. I'm a very outgoing person. I walk obscene amounts of times and all things, and suddenly you're have a catheter. You can't move. You're in a wheelchair, and that's all a little overwhelming. And so that part of it, not that you could tell somebody who hasn't had a stroke or what it's going to be like. It's overwhelming, and that part of it was challenging. I'm someone who really was very fortunate because I had so much support around me, both family and friends, as well as the healthcare providers. So that was really good for me. Um, if there were things that were really challenging for me, not all, but the vast majority of the healthcare providers say that after 6 months, you're never going to get better. And that is a bold-faced lie. Anyone who believes that needs to learn different, and they need to start having that conversation with healthcare providers, because it's not that they honestly believe that that was as good as it was going to get. To be honest with you, I'm continuing to improve today, and it'll be 3 years at the end of this month, and I've gone from not being able to move at all to being very independent. And it's something that really is probably my most important focus, is how telling everyone I meet who has a stroke that you can get better. I also will throw in one really big caveat. You only get better if you work really hard.
Mm.
So I've recovered great, but I also work really hard at doing it. So, and I've had great support. So my support system has again been incredible, and that's really been. But that would be what I would say was important.
Yeah, support and determination. These are two key parts of recovery. And thank you for just like reminding us that stroke recovery is there's no end point. Like we know from studies and stuff, there's times where there's a bit more intensive recovery, but it goes on for forever. So lots of hope there.
Yeah, it's like stroke and adaptation, right, to that as well too, which is great. And you're right, it shouldn't be on healthcare professionals, especially early on, to try to take away hope, especially when it's wrong, right? So it's kind of great to give people that. I try to give people timelines. I say a lot of recovery within the first 3 months, ongoing recovery after that. It might be a little bit longer, month by month or season by season, but just to give people a perspective of what might lie ahead. So,
And I think it does matter on the type of stroke you had, because of the hemorrhagic stroke, you don't start getting better till 6 months almost. So you're much, much slower in that process. So the time that everyone's telling you it should be over, you're actually starting. Now, I know we're only about 20% of the strokes, so a lot of time with ischemic, it might be very different, but that I'm very much talking from the hemorrhagic perspective.
and you're very right. And now a lot of strokes focusing on hemorrhagic stroke or using farther endpoints, different than ischemic, the standard 90-day ischemic stroke one, to address that too, because there can be ongoing benefit, but you might see it later on.
Yeah, really good reminder. I think sometimes people assume hemorrhagic stroke is way worse. We can be a bit more nihilistic regarding recovery, but it's, taking a step back and knowing exactly what you just said, Heather, like a hemorrhagic stroke takes 2 or 3 times longer to meet the same points that an ischemic stroke is doing in terms of functional recovery. So really, really good reminder, and how lovely it is that you have recovered so beautifully. Terry, do you want me to refresh that question for you so you can tell us?
Yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
please.
So during recovery and rehab, what part of recovery surprised you the most, and what do you wish would have been done differently?
Um, Considering how well I have recovered, I probably don't think things could have been done much better for me. Things went along just fine. The things that surprised me about my recovery were, um, yes, it took a lot of hard work, and effort and determination, and inspiration, and I got all that from the physiotherapists and the occupational therapists that I worked with, and the doctors. Don't get me wrong; there was the whole healthcare team was on side with me and worked with me. The thing that surprised me was the involvement of the healthcare professionals in my rehab. The weekly meetings at the rehab unit with Dr. Catherine Knox, Dr. Shi, the physiotherapist, the occupational therapist, they all were assessing me as we went along. And so weekly we would look at what the goals were for the team and what my goals were and how far we had gone. That surprised me, and it was very encouraging because it gave me those markers that I could work towards and work with. Also, the support I got from all of my friends, my wife, who is a retired nurse now, but she was a retired nurse at the time, and she was a great support because she attended pretty much every one of my rehab sessions. She went in and she learned what the physiotherapists were telling me, and then she could also help me do that as well. She still does to this day. I think one of the best things that was said to me, and I think, Brett, it might have been you, was that recovery is going to be there's going to be plateaus in your recovery. There's going to be that 3 month plateau, there's going to be a 6 month plateau, and then after that, it's going to be longer between those plateaus. And so now I'm 6 years out, 6 years, 9 months, and I'm still finding that I'm doing things better. So as I work at it, I go to the field house 5 days a week, like I said in my bio. I'm still finding that I'm increasing the weight on things that I'm pushing on the machinery, and I'm getting stronger on everything that I'm working at. And it's repetitive, but it might take me 2, 3 months to get there, but I'll get that exercise and I'll actually increase the weight. And I'm getting now that my left side is getting as strong as my right side. So that's very encouraging too. And I think that that's remarkable. So it's proof that it can be done, and really, I think it was the coordination of the whole medical team.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
No, okay, I think what you guys are doing a great job is like highlighting the journey, right? Afterwards, because sometimes, especially in acute care where I tend to work, we see people for 5 days, 6 days before they go home or go to rehab. And we do follow up, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to see what people are doing. But in that time, you guys are gaining 6 months of experience of living with stroke, right? Kind of, you guys are the stroke experts in your recovery. So it's great to hear these stories. And now you guys get at the end of your journeys in regards, you guys become partners in the healthcare system, right? In regards to sharing your stories, educating, encouraging, which we very much appreciate as well.
So, Terry, if you could speak directly to a nurse, therapist, or doctor today, what would you want them to understand about life after stroke?
About what happened in my stroke?
No, life after stroke.
Life after stroke. Oh, um, life can be as good as you want it to be after a stroke, and you have to maybe think about how you approach things. I've learned it takes me longer to do things than it used to. And I've learned that I can't become frustrated with myself when I can't climb underneath the dash of a little car and get my arm up in there and do what I used to do. I call a friend and come over and help me do that. But you have to sort of learn to not expect that you're going to be the person you were before. I'm still learning that I'm still teaching my left hand to do things that I couldn't do when I had my stroke. I still have to think about walking down a flight of stairs. I keep telling Susan, my wife, that I have to concentrate on every step I take. I have to pay attention because I don't want to fall on my nose. So I pay attention to every step I take because I'm trying to teach still, my brain is still trying to, or my leg is still trying to teach my brain, someplace in my brain, this is how to take that perfect step. And so I'm still trying to do that. So it is a long going process. Like I say, it's been 6 years and 9 months since my stroke, and I'm still learning things. And I still go out and I work on the field house track, and I walk that track, and 2, 3 steps out of 5,000, it'll be the perfect step. So the perfect step is when you feel it all click, right? And it's that feeling that you had when you learned how to walk when you were a year and a half old, and you've done it all your life and it just comes normally. Well, after a stroke, it's not normal anymore. You have to relearn how to do that, and you have to teach a different part of your brain how to do that. So I guess the message I'm giving is um, be patient with yourself, and um, be patient with your progress as you recover and as you get stronger from a stroke, because your brain doesn't work as well as it used to. You've had a brain injury, so
And Terry, I know that you are really dedicated to peer support and that you have the opportunity to go into City Hospital and speak to stroke patients at the rehab center there. And are these the same kind of things that you tell them? Like, I know you're right, lots of us don't have lived experience, but if we could relay some of the messages that you are sharing with other people, what would you highlight?
part of what I'm doing when I go to City Hospital, and it's about every 5 weeks, I go in for a 1 hour session, and they've selected patients that are sort of close to the end of their rehab and on their way home. And the subject of the topic is what it feels like to go home after having a stroke.
Hmm.
So I just basically get up and I tell people, I'm quite passionate about it. I tell them my journey, how I got here and what I am today and where I am today. And this is the challenges I met when I went home. I went home in a wheelchair, and then I graduated to a walker, and then I worked to a cane, and now I walk independently. A lot of that is giving people hope and saying, here you are right now in rehab, but you're going to go home. And if you keep working at it, like if you come and meet me at the field house, I'll tell you the exercise therapist to work with that'll help you, and you can get better. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think peer support is a very important part of what we're doing in our hospital system. It's really working well through cardiac. With CARG, I go and visit cardiac patients, and I have 3 sessions this month. And I guess I get about 4 to 6 patients at a time. And I walk in and say, 7.5 years, I was where you are. And you know what? Those patients are very thankful and grateful that somebody comes and talks to them. So I would like to see that happening for stroke patients, because I told you that feeling that I had when I was lying in a hospital bed and very scared. If somebody had come in to me and said, I had a stroke and I was here 6 years ago and I'm working out today and I'm getting better, that would have given me that hope that I was scared of, right? Or it would have given me some hope. I've actually had that experience, and I don't want to hog the time here. I know that you're sharing the time, but I'm doing some volunteer work, doing surveys on the neuro ward, and not more than, I don't know, 3, 4 weeks ago, I went in, and one of the patients I was given to talk to was a stroke patient, and his wife was there. He could not speak. He was nonverbal, and he could not walk. He had to be lifted into a lift to get to a wheelchair to get to the bathroom. And his wife and I talked, and we did the survey, and we filled it out. And it's a customer service survey. It's like, how was your stay in the hospital? Do you like University Hospital? Nobody gives it too bad a mark. Their things are pretty good. Anyway, these people these people talked to me, and when I told them that I was a stroke survivor, we had a conversation, and they said, well, we're scheduled to go over to rehab. And I really praised it. And I said, man, if they think that rehab's going to be a good place for you, it's going to be what you make it. You get over there and you work hard, and man, you can do this. And they were so grateful. A month later, Susan and I are doing our talk at City Hospital Rehab, and these people were there. And the woman says to me, the best day was when you came in and talked to us, because you gave us the hope that we needed. And that proved to me that what I'm saying about peer support is so important.
Mhm.
She said, you gave us the hope to come here and work hard. And you know what? He was talking to me, and he had gone for a walk in the park around City Hospital. So that's what happened in 4 weeks. Now, I'm not saying I caused that, but I put it in his head that he could do that. And that is wonderful, right? And so I told her to give that message back to the health authority.
Good for you. Good for you,
Yeah,
Terry. Like it's your encouragement and role does not go unseen.
thank you.
Um,
So same
yeah,
question.
same question for Heather.
So I guess Heather, if you could speak directly to a nurse, a therapist, or a doctor today, I think there might be some nurses, therapists, and doctors on this call as well. What would you want them to understand about life after stroke?
Um, I think the thing about Terry's told all the good stories, so I think we're good on that scenario. But um, I've got to talk with Terry, which always makes me happy because when you're a stroke person, you're going to talk with someone else with a stroke. It's just so helpful to, and especially to see. I mean, I didn't know he was a ischemic stroke or whatever, but or how long he'd done it, but we run into each other quite frequently, and it's nice to have that ability to have um, the peer support because just being able to talk to people, because often I find the stroke people, a lot of people are, it's very, when you have a stroke, you're scared. A lot of people have lost a lot of capabilities, whether it's mental or physical. I'm really fortunate because my mental part of it was pretty good. I mean, I always tease people that I'm not great with my mental capability because I'm 64 years old. It's not because I had a stroke. So that part of it came back pretty quickly. But what I found is for me, the physical parts has been a real struggle because I was so active before, and not being active was something that I struggle with. I still do. And I think the big thing that for me has been um, giving myself a break and realizing, okay, so now what I can do is I can unload the dishwasher and I could do the laundry. I couldn't fold it yet, but I could wash it. And and then I mean, now I can iron it even. I tell you, I got it all case now. But it's really about taking those little pieces on and really giving yourself a bit of a break on that. And I've been I'm a positive person, so that's been really lucky for me, but it also allowed me, and I think it's really important to hear from your healthcare providers that you can do this thing, and it's really that continuous honest support, I think. And I call it honest support because there's a lot of people who tell, oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Well, yeah, fine is not the right answer. Um, it's really good to know, and I have amazing healthcare providers. I can't speak highly enough about them. I just really enjoy it. And they, especially my physio and my occupational therapists and those who help have been just amazing. And the real thing is they were very positive about things, but they said, yes, you can do this, but you'll probably have to do X, Y, and Z. And so when you know that and have that ability, that's really the positive thing for me is knowing that I can do this, but it's going to be maybe doing it differently is the best way of putting it. So there's lots of things I can't do anymore. I can't wear my high heels. It's really annoying because I have a lot of them and they were great shoes, just saying. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not exactly the end of the world. And so for most things, I can do a lot of the things. For me, the single biggest challenge is I can't walk very effectively. And then because I was learning to walk pretty good and I was back up to 10,000 steps a day. And then it turns out I broke my hip and then I broke my femur. And so I've been back at 5,000 steps a day and I'm working it up again. But that's something I would say is it's just that is the continual part is challenging having lost that ability. The other thing I would tell people is I have a lot of doctors and healthcare professionals in my life, and that's great. And everyone is focused on my mental health and my physical health and everything to do with the stroke focus. Well, it turns out I had osteoporosis and I didn't know it. And during the 3 years since I didn't know I had it, I took a fall and it was a minor fall. I used to teach kids to fall from gymnastics. And so I thought, oh, that's nothing. I'm going to be fine. But I wasn't fine. And because I have osteoporosis. So there's a lot of things I think with people with telling people with strokes is, hey, it's great your stroke is important, but remember there are other parts of your health care that are important too. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've missed. I'm suddenly with the osteoporosis being a big thing and finding out about it this year. It was really good to be solving that, but it also has made me focus. I should probably go with more mammograms. I would let those on slide. Just a lot of the other things I would normally have done, I haven't done. I'm starting to go back into that. So if I could suggest to healthcare providers maybe to think about that. I know when you only have so little time when you're talking to a stroke patient and helping them, but that it maybe just mention that occasionally. I think that would be helpful.
That's a really, really good reminder. Like we get so focused. Like I think I can speak for Brett and I, although he's much more holistic than I am, but you get focused on, managing the stroke risk factors that, yeah, exactly. You kind of can overlook just the normal illnesses that come along the way with aging or with whatever. So that was a really good reminder, Heather. And just when I heard both of you speak, one of the things I assume is that once people get home and in their own environment, like it might be a little bit easier for them to do things that might be more challenging in the hospital because we don't have, you know, it's not your familiar surrounding. And maybe I'm totally mistaken in that assumption. Do you mind? Like, is there any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think getting home was really good. Um, we have had some other health issues in our family, so I've moved out of our home right now. And so it is odd not being there. And it's also made us understand that maybe we should look at changing our home environment a little bit more long term. So that's something we're working on now. But um, I think it's good to do it. But I also think it's really easy to fall into your routines and say, uh, whereas when you're in the hospital or in rehab, they're telling you and encouraging you to go and do that little extra working out or a little extra something. And so sometimes I found that was probably helpful for me. For me, I'm pretty focused, but a lot of people, I think it can be pretty easy just to slide into your old ways of managing things.
Do you have anything to add, Terry?
Um, yeah, I guess going home, I concur with Heather. Going home, yeah, you're sort of in your comfort bubble. Um, I think one of the best things we did was have an occupational therapist come and visit our home and give us advice on where to put grab bars, where to do all that to modify our home so that it was going to be comfortable and safe for us to be in. We're at the point in our lives where perhaps we need to think about selling our home and moving into something maybe a little easier to care for. Having a home with a lawn and a garden and the whole thing is still a lot of work. So um, I'm very grateful that we had the funds and everything and the guidance from the occupational therapist to do the work. And we hired a contractor and he came in and he did a wonderful job. And we have a safe home for me to be in. That was important. And I think one of the best advice I got was from one of the therapists who said, when you go home, you probably got up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom and didn't turn the lights on. He said, don't do that. He said,
Hmm.
now that you've had a stroke, you need to turn the lights on because things are now different than they were because you're walking differently, you're moving through the world differently. And that was great advice. And we still do it now. I found a motion detector light we put in the bathroom. So when you move towards the bathroom, it comes on. So that's a good tip. Yeah, it's, going home is a pretty important thing. Um, and you're right, we all tend to get a little bit lazy. That's why I find that the field house is a pretty good motivator. I go there and it becomes a community, and you're talking to people, and you're talking to people who have had heart attacks, strokes, that kind of thing, and they become your friends. they know your situation, you know theirs, and we support each other, right? So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, so stemming from that, Terry and you too, Heather, in regards to, you said community. So you said the field house has been kind of beneficial, not for the exercise, but for the community. I guess, were you guys directed to any other community resources? Or if not, did you guys find any other community resources out there for yourselves that you found beneficial after you
Well,
were discharged from the
I have,
hospital?
yeah, I have started to do work with Heart and Stroke Foundation. And I'm finding that they have a great amount of resources that they're prepared to share. And they actually wanted to be in on this and listen to it because they want to see what this is all about. Um, I actually did some work with Heart and Stroke for them. I volunteered to go out and help them with some promotional material that they're going to do in the next winter. So they're a great organization for helpfulness. I've been in contact with the March of Dimes and their resources that they have. They do a webinar once a week for people who are stroke survivors, and people can just dial in to a webinar much like this, and it's other stroke survivors talking to each other, and they bring professionals in to sort. It's much like this format, and they have a professional that comes in and talks to them and answers questions. So. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there, and I'm starting to find more and more resources. Yeah, Ruth is a big resource.
Very much so.
Terry. Um, do you have anything to add, Heather?
I exactly the same things, except that I like to volunteer. So I figure in my life, since this is now a part of my world and I need to give back because people have helped me a lot, so I have to go back and try and share. So I've been fortunate to work with the Heart and Stroke as well, and I really enjoy the time with them and what I've got to do with that. My doctors have got me hooked up with various locations, and so I've been able to try some different things, which is really helpful. I've also had, I just saw Carmen on here at Valley, and some others I know in from Regina that are great about coming in and helping you and making sure your life is as supported as can be. And so that was a big positive. I think, though, I don't have the relationship. I do happen to know Terry and have his phone number, so I'm going to be following up on a couple things. But generally, it's about getting to more involved with the stroke and people, because I want to help as much as I can. And SHA has some opportunities, and they've invited me to help with a few of the rehab ideas that they're going forward with. And I want to help as much as I can. So that's great. But I felt a lot of the people who had strokes and were in the hospital at West Ghana when I was there, I've stayed in touch with a few of them, and they tend to feel a little bit lost still. So I do think there needs to be more openings for the stroke part, and I think we have to make that happen. So I helped out with Stroke Day, which is for when I got to meet a lot of the people on this call, actually. And I, because of Heart and Stroke, got to meet with you, Ruth. And so there's lots of, and get to do like day like today. I think it's great, but I really think we have to find ways of getting these stroke people together and helping them out a lot more, because I will love to do what Terry's doing by going in once in a while and talking to people. I'm not going to go every week, sure, but I would love to do that and come in once a month or something and help out for an hour or two. And but I think we need to do more of that and make that more visible for a lot of people, because a lot of people are really scared. And there's also a lot more younger people now too, and they have a very different requirement than some of us at our age. And I still work, but just part-time. And but there's a lot of people who have to go right back to their work that, as soon as they possibly can. And I think they really need help.
And these are all, oh, sorry, go ahead, Terry.
I agree totally with Heather. And I was at a function not too long ago, and it was a heart and stroke function, and there were 25 other stroke survivors in the room. And we had a social gathering, and we all got together and started talking. And I was shocked. I mean, I know a lot of people in the stroke world in Saskatoon, and that's because I've been out working with it and advocating for it. But I was shocked at how many of those 25 people had never been with anybody after they'd recovered, with anybody who'd had a stroke or had a similar consequence that I had. And they wanted to talk to me because they knew I was talking to other people, and that was important to them. So it just really strengthens my passion for peer support for stroke patients, and even getting together on a whatever it is, a monthly basis or whatever, where you can bring those people together for a while and just say, let's talk. There was an event here that was put on by um, the research department. What's the lady's name? You mentioned her earlier on. The one who's doing
Sarah
research.
Donkers.
Sarah Donkers
Sarah, yes.
held an event here at the Holiday Inn. That was about a year ago, a little over a year, more than a year ago. That was
Hmm.
great. There were so many people that were there that talked to each other about their journey after their stroke. And having that all together was so wonderful. I don't know where the funds came from for that, but maybe we need to find them again.
So I'm hearing a lot of, themes about transitions and support and community, and I think, we're there's so much opportunity in Saskatchewan to grow stroke support, and Canadian best practice is very heavy in their recommendations around supporting people in every transition between, home, acute care, rehab, back home, and I think just with tangible resources we have right now, sometimes the transition pieces get a little lost in the shuffle. But next
I,
week, oh, go ahead, Heather.
I do think that there's one thing I know SHA, all the caregivers are doing and want to do more of this. But if there's one place that really needs more help, is there does need to be more physical therapists and occupational therapists and healthcare providers who are helping with rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm fortunate I could go with private care, and I have, and it's phenomenal. I can go on for hours about that too. But for a lot of people, if you get out and you don't have that support after you get out, you're going to have a lot harder ability to get better. And so it's one thing I'm always a big fan of, trying to find more funding for that type of support. Sorry, I'm always going to be yapping about needing more support. So
Yeah, no, and we are with you on that. We're kind of getting close to the end of our session, which has been so great. But I'm wondering if you, Heather and Terry, are okay, like if there's any questions from anyone attending that you would like them to speak further on, or they haven't answered and you're like, ooh, I really have this thing burning a hole in my brain.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Let's
uh,
go ask questions.
by all
it's
means.
it's the hot seat, hot seat. So I don't know, Ashley, if there's any questions in the chat or if anyone just wants to unmute and
It's a safe place.
safe place with all 106 of us at least. Oh, thank you, Amanda. So this has been very impactful. Thank you for sharing. Any thoughts on mental health after stroke from BUH, Battleford Union Hospital?
You first, Terry.
Mental health. Um, well, I guess my mental health, like I say, when I was probably scared, was at the lowest of my mental health journey, and um, being able to come out of that and just fight with the determination that I was going to get better made me feel better. I think one of the best things that helped me was I let my car club know that I'd had a stroke, and 38 members of my car club came and visited me, some of them once a week. And that took a burden off of my wife because we're in the middle of winter, and she came every day to listen to my sessions and so forth. And she always felt obligated to visit with me and keep me company. But when she knew some members of my car club were coming to visit me and have a coffee with me, it took that burden away from her. So just reaching out to your community, if you're into whatever you're into, I happen to be into sports cars, but there are people who are into all, you might be a chess club, you might be a bridge club, you might be whatever. Let the peers in that group know that you've had a stroke and let them come and talk to you because it brings such a fresh thoughts to your mind when you're in hospital and it makes you feel better and that you're connected with the world. And that helps your mental health a whole lot. I don't think I need
I
a psychiatrist.
I couldn't agree more. A big part of it is admitting you do need help. And I
Yeah.
think that was probably the single biggest thing is I'm a very positive person, so I really didn't have go into a negative or a bad place, but the same token, it helped my family because they know people were coming to talk to me every day, and I had friends who literally I had at least two people every day that came in addition to my family, that came in and talked to me about something and brought me tea or something. You can't believe they would bring me meals in the Wascana and set the table with the whole 9 yards, like, oh, flowers and tablecloths and everything. So they really wanted me to feel like myself. And I think that admitting that you need help and letting these people come in and look after you is a really big plus. And also most of the close friends, they were really good at listening to what you were worried about and celebrating. Like I cannot tell you the day that I could move my right finger uh, uh, in honesty about a quarter of an inch. But the fact I could move it, I- they took pictures of it. There's all sorts of things. I have videos of my finger moving and everybody screaming out how wonderful it was. And, it was crazy to worry about a quarter of an inch movement of one finger that I could do successfully every 15 or 20 minutes. And now I can move my hand and do all sorts of things with it. But it having the people speak up about that and celebrate that with me made a huge difference. And that kind of thing was really important.
And another question. Oh, I just lost it. Ashley, do you mind reading it? It's following up on mental health.
Yeah, did you find that there was education and support provided in regards to mental health after experiencing a stroke?
I can start with that one. I was actually in Wascana, so mental health was one of the things, learning to speak again properly, get my abilities back. So it was really good. So I did have that support, but I was also went through Wascana.
Well, and my journey was at rehab here at City Hospital. I believe I had one session with the mental health caseworker. But I know that they were busy with a lot of other patients. Again, we're short-staffed in that area. I think we need to increase our staff in those areas because um, I didn't feel I got a whole lot of support in rehab. I mean, they came in and assessed me, and I think they found that, like Heather, I was very positive about my recovery, and I was very positive about my rehab, and I had a very determined attitude about it. And they figured, okay, well, he's good, so they just sort of let me go. I don't know. They never shared that in any of our weekly meetings, whether I was assessed as being positive, but because I never saw anybody again, I just assumed that I guess I was good to go.
A little bit of a spoiler alert. In January, um, in honor of Blue Monday, we will be having a mental health month here on Coffee and Cases. So please come ready to chat. There's going to be a couple psychologists that are going to present, and we're going to really focus on the mental health aspect after stroke.
Good.
Then there was another question that popped up, Ashley.
Yes. In rural, how can we connect people who have experienced stroke with their peers?
That is a
Well,
great question. Oh, go
that
ahead,
is
Terry.
something that I feel very passionate about. I'm focusing my work on trying to get peer support happening in the Saskatoon region first, and then expand it into Regina and the bigger centers. But I would like to see it happen throughout the whole province. Peer support is so important. I have found that they actually have in Calgary, they have a wonderful program running. Ruth connected me with Haley, and they have a wonderful program running there. She has 38 people visiting people in hospital on a regular basis and giving peer support to people who have had strokes, who have had brain injuries, who have had epilepsy, all sorts of different affectations. And that process is running so well that the Calgary Health District believes in it so well that they're expanding it. So they're way ahead of us, and we can learn from them.
And I think I'm passionate about it because I come from a rural area, and you know how challenging it is with everything we can do very easily in the city. It just becomes that much more challenging if you're not in the city. And so that's part of it. Um, I, I, Technology can get us a long ways, and I do think we should do a lot as much as we can with technology. But it really is nice to go and sit down and like I love this conversation we're having today. I'm on the phone all the time, and I have this kind of a scenario at home all the time, and with work. But there is nothing like getting together and having a real coffee. So those kinds of things are when you're talking, I think it's if we can't do that, it's great to do remote, but there is something special about getting to go there. So I would love to see us come up with some better way of managing help for people in rural areas.
Okay, I just really want to be mindful of the time. There was one more question that popped up, and I would like you two to answer it in 5 words or less.
Okay.
What was it, Ashley?
What was your most challenging problem post-stroke?
Just
In a
5 words.
nutshell.
Or 2 sentences.
Okay, 2 sentences.
3 sentences or less.
3 sentences or less. Terry, go.
Oh boy, I'm first. Okay, my most challenging problem. Um, when they asked me what my objective was, I said I wanted to stand up and pee, and I wanted to take my own shower. You don't know what a treat it is to not be helped into a shower or being supervised in a shower, to be able to go into a shower and manage to do that by yourself. So I found that a great challenge when I was in rehab. And believe it or not, when I achieved those goals, it was like, wow, life is so much better.
Okay, that's huge, Terry. That's a huge and a
Well,
good reminder to us too. Like that's a huge win.
and on
Yeah.
a little note, Susan laughs at me because I always say there's the magic trifecta, and that was the one night in rehab when I got clean pajamas, I got a clean sheets, and I got to have a shower. So all three things were clean: me, the bed, and the pajamas. Wow, did I sleep well that night? So that was a great thing.
Yeah.
Heather, how about you?
Um, um, I think it's just a goals in general. For me, my biggest goal initially was to be able to. I had my stroke 3 days before my son's wedding, so it got pushed back and all this, and I got to dance at his wedding. So that was one of my first goals, and it was really big, and it was really pushing hard for that. And the other goal I'm working on now is getting to drive, and
Mhm.
I'm taking driver's ed and doing all this, and that's my biggest thing right now.
Great. Thank you so much, you guys.
Now, just on
Um,
the subject of driving, I just got back from 6 days driving my sports car through the mountains in BC, and I never put the top up once. And it was fast, fun driving. So,
That's the next goal for Heather, right? And
Well,
it's
and
yep,
funny.
I
exactly.
last year I got given my favorite car in the whole world, 1980 450 Mercedes coupe with a hardtop convertible,
Awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to see that one, Heather.
bright red.
Awesome. You'll look good in it.
Thank you.
It'll look good on you.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say a big thank you for sharing your stories and being so like inspirational to us, reminding us of some of the key takeaways about what we can do when we're communicating and helping. And so big kudos. And I see lots of people saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So it was so wonderful to have you guys on.
And a reminder,
Thanks for
Thank
the
you for the
opportunity.
platform.
I did just put a link in the chat too for the March of Dimes peer support program. They have quite a few programs that meet virtually. Some of them are for caregivers. What else do we have here? Caregivers and like if your spouse experienced stroke, and then for stroke patients as well to meet online.
And Ashley, do you have any what's coming up next info that
Yeah.
you want to share?
So our next meeting will be October 9th, the same time. I did send out a calendar invite, so hopefully everyone got that. And we're going to be talking with the stroke prevention groups or stroke prevention clinics in the province. And I think some of it will be about rural resources and other resources in the outpatient community.
So
Just
keep
that's it.
watching in your email because we would love if we could really compile something robust about resources around the province so everyone kind of knows what everyone else is doing and we could make a bit of a compository. And I know Heart and Stroke, Carolyn is here, and I don't know if Effie's here or not, but they're trying to work on a provincial resource. So if we can pool all of our good work and get it in one place, maybe on the SHA website, that would be really amazing. So that's what is coming up next month.
October 9th.
October 9th.
Put it in your calendars.
Yeah, so we will see you all soon. Ashley's going to send out a bit of a feedback survey, which will inform
And the
us.
recording.
And the recording. So share it widely, and we will see you in a month.
Yeah, and that feedback, please take a minute or two to fill it out. That really kind of dictates what our next sessions will be moving forward. Ideally, people have a lot of knowledge gaps and needs, and we want to address all those. So please take some time to fill it, and then we'll try to address them. And thank you very much again.
Especially since December is viewer's choice. So
Viewer's choice.
December.
Look at that. Exciting times. Thank you again to Terry, to Heather for sharing their time and stories. Thank you everybody for coming and spending your day with us here too, the hour, I guess an hour in the afternoon. Thank you to our cyber buddy, Ashley Trades. Ashley Trades.
Hey.
For helping us set this up and doing all the immense background work to get this rolling smoothly.
Okay. See
Right.
you guys in a month.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.